My Kucha is about Asian women in the white American psyche. I'm doing an overview of different perceptions and stereotypes of Asian women. Here I have pictured Stephanie Sue's character from Everything Everywhere All at Once, a recent positive example of Asian American representation that I'll elaborate on later. I'll be discussing a lot of negative ideas, so I wanted to begin with this positive example. The photo here is an anti-Asian immigration poster because America wanted to deter immigration from Asia. The earliest perception of Asian women that I could find is the Page Act of 1875, which was an anti-immigration law that dubbed Asian women as prostitutes. This conflated Asian women with hypersexuality, an idea that went on to outlive this law. The lotus blossom stereotype is one that we are all very familiar with. Asian women are stereotyped as submissive, innocent, and docile. The name of the lotus blossom comes from their comparison to the literal flower, which I have pictured here, because it's a symbol of delicacy and purity. It also suggests Asian women are objectified since they're being named after an object. On the other end of the spectrum, the dragon lady stereotype depicts Asian women as mysterious, domineering, and fierce. The photo I have here is Anna May Wong in Daughter of the Dragon. She later described this character as wicked and asked why Chinese people were depicted as people who rob, scheme, kill, expressing her distress with one-dimensional stereotypes of Asian women. The Dragon Lady is a challenge to conquer an Asian woman and subdue her into submission, essentially molding her into the Lotus Blossom character. While the Lotus Blossom is viewed as an object to be taken, the Dragon Lady is a dangerous temptress and again a challenge. These are photos of the Lotus Blossom and Dragon Lady stereotypes, Kim and Miss Saigon, and O-Ren and Kill Bill, respectively. We discussed two big terms in class, Orientalism and Ornamentalism. The former is conceptions of stereotypes about the Orient made by the West, and the latter is a form of objectification of Asian women. In Sarah Wang's Bitch Media piece, we see ornamentalism in full display with the Harajuku girls, pictured here, Gwen Stefani's Asian entourage. The Harajuku girls were the angry yellow women. They were used to invoke attention, but never enough for it to become subjective. They were accessories that surrounded Gwen Stefani with the concept of Asianness. As Wang explains, the yellow woman doesn't look exotic, she is the look itself. This look is all that's paid attention to, not the actual person, not the culture, the look. We see Asian as co-opted and exploited through cultural appropriation and Asian fishing, where non-Asian groups take on Asian aesthetics without acknowledging or respecting the Asian identity itself or Asian cultures. We see artists like Katy Perry and Avril Lavigne using Asian aesthetics for performances, and trends like the fox eye makeup where the Asian appearance is appropriated. Mainstream pornography is a massively widespread form of media, and a study found that images of Asian women in pornographic forms consistently came up through a keyword search for torture, and that there was a strong correlation between race and pedophilia as they were advertising with titles such as Japanese schoolgirls or Asian teens. Here I have a photo of the Japanese schoolgirl outfit that has been sexualized. In this study, they also found aggression was present in 3/4 of the videos containing Asian women, a much higher rate than for any other group of women. And additionally, videos featuring Asian women were also most likely to include non-consensual violence. Here I have a myriad of porn site logos, websites in which Asian women are exploited and hypersexualized as detailed here. Here I have a photo from a Me Too March, a movement that advocates for survivors of sexual assault. There is an existing rape culture that protects offenders and ignores survivors. It seeps into every corner of society, from the legal system to college institutions to music. Being hypersexualized in a society that already objectifies women is not just detrimental to an Asian woman's psyche, it can also lead to them being targeted physically. In the Atlanta spa shooting, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean women were murdered by a white man that claimed to have a sex addiction. He said the spa was a location of sexual temptation for him. Calling Asian women sexual temptations really captures the legacy of the history and the law and pop culture constructions of Asian women, that they are vessels of excessive sexuality. This piece of art shows an Asian woman having negative connotations forced onto her, such as a calculator for math. As Dana White Takagi says, as Asian Americans, we do not think in advance about whether or not to present ourselves as Asian American. Rather, that is an identification that is worn by us, whether we like it or not, and which is easily read off of us by others. The art from the last slide is part of a series from an Asian artist named Anne Castro. Here's another one of her works where a Southeast Asian woman is having negative stereotypes forced onto her. Asian women cannot sever themselves from their intersectional identity, as Dana White Takagi said, from the negative connotations and stereotypes as depicted here, and therefore it is necessary to reframe what it means to be an Asian woman in the white American psyche. This reframing of Asian women can occur through Asian representation that has complex, multidimensional characters. We see this in the movie Turning Red and in shows like Never Have I Ever and Kim's Convenience, where a diverse cast shows the nuances of Asian women. They are not defined by a few traits because that's not accurate, and they are also flawed and complicated. I want to specifically highlight Joy/Jobu Tupaki from the film Everything Everywhere All at Once. Here are a few photos of her from the film. She's the campy, nihilistic antagonist, and my favorite photo of her is the one in the middle where she's holding two large dildos. The photo here is of Ellie Chu from the movie The Half of It, another Asian lesbian character. Since LGBTQ+ people live in a heteronormative world, non-cishet Asian people navigating their sexuality or gender productively can be liberating, allowing them to have a close connection to their bodies and create LGBTQ+ Asian safe spaces. On the topic of LGBTQ+ identities, I want to talk about asexuality. Here I have a photo from an asexual pride rally. Now, the ace identity defies a pro-reproductive and pro-family state inherently, and Asian women that are asexual innately defy hypersexualization. For non-ace Asian women, they can defy hypersexualization by exercising celibacy. Angela Chen in Whitewash describes Selena, an Asian trans woman who wanted to have less sex despite the fetishists who were suddenly interested in her new presentation as an Asian woman. We can see the word fetishization exemplified in the art here, where an Asian woman is being marketed as submissive, exotic, as simply Asian woman, nameless and only defined by her Asianness. I kept mentioning Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's how I want to wrap up my presentation because it includes multi-dimensional Asian representation with two Asian women at the heart of the movie. They are not shown detached from their Asianness because it is a part of them. They're depicted with nuanced performances and with a focus on the capacity for change, highlighting that Asian women will never have one fixed identity.